All right. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District to order. Roll call, please.
Director Sailors.
Present.
Director Gould.
Here.
Director Wood.
Here.
Director Rice.
Here.
Director Costa.
Here.
Director Weber.
Here.
Director Stark.
Here.
Director Clark.
Here.
Director Jones.
Here.
Thank you. All are present.
All right. Thank you. Director Stark, will you lead us in the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Stark. All right, Metro Cable announcement. This meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District is recorded. The recording will be cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the Local Government Affairs channel. All information about when and where can be found in the agenda packet. And we'll move to public comment. So public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the district's jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. Do we have any speakers?
Yes, I have one speaker card from Roger Mitchell.
All right. Good evening.
Board Chair, Directors, Chief, Staff, and Public. My name is Roger Mitchell. I've been before you probably more times than you care to see me, but I'm here tonight to talk to you about our fundraising dinner for the restoration project of Rio Linda's second fire engine. I've been before you many times to tell you about that, but this year it'll be on October the 10th. That's the second Saturday in October. And we are really, really thrilled this year. We have a world-class speaker that's going to be here. Amazing. You just can't believe that we're that lucky. So I would like to tell board members that our chief will be our world-class speaker this year. And before the meeting, he told me, he says, you know, Roger, he says, I'm going to try to drag as many of the staff and the directors as I can to that. So with that being said, it's a complete barbecue dinner. It's $35. It's all you can eat. And a retired master mechanic is our cook. He's there every year. It's barbecue, it's ribs, chicken, all you can eat. I see Brian shaking his head. I know he's been there and he can tell you how good it is. So, but at this point, do I have any questions that I can answer?
Any questions from the board?
Repeat the date again?
Director Clark, yeah. The date?
The date, it is October the 10th. That's the second Saturday in October. It'll be from 5 till it's over. There's also on the tickets a little paragraph on the back that if you'd like to see the truck, it's only, you know, probably 100 yards away from where the dinner is at in the old firehouse in Rio Linda. So we'll have members there that be willing to show you and answer any questions before the dinner. So we invite you to take advantage of that also. So Mr. Rice, or Director Rice, I would tell all of you, Brian and I go back a long ways. We were good friends, and he's always very helpful. In last year, him being the president of the, if I get this wrong, Brian, but the California State Firemen, Professional Firemen's Union, he put together a nice basket of things for our auction. And there was an expensive bottle of, yeah, something very nice. But the thing also, there was a card in there for a restaurant. You know, and okay, so we get a lot of gift cards, you know, and some of them are $25, some of them are $50. And this one that Brian arranged was a $500 gift card. So, and the chief and one other person at this went at it over that basket, and unfortunately the chief didn't make it, but he told me afterwards, he says, Roger, I went up as high as the money I had in my pocket. So I've told him, I says, this year you don't have to worry about that. If you see something you want, you go as high as you want, and if you're successful, you know, you can pay us later because we trust you, because we know where you're at.
You know where to find them. Yeah.
So anyway, it's a fun evening, and hopefully to see a lot of you and a lot of the staff there. So again, any questions you might have?
Any other questions from the board?
Roger, Rich Wasina cooks?
No, pardon? Who cooks? A gentleman named Scott Courtney. Yeah, he's came every year out from out of state, and he's got this huge smoker. He's smoked for well, organizations with over 400 or 500 people. So our dinner at 550, it's nothing for him. But yeah, and he doesn't charge us a nickel. You know, it's just it's almost like this whole fire district comes together for this to earn money for this. So anyway,
All right,
so thank you for listening.
thank you. So October 10th at 5 o'clock.
October 10th, 5, and if you want to see the vehicle, go to the old firehouse. The address is on the back of the ticket at 4 o'clock, and there'll be people there to show everything to you, or answer your questions.
All right, very
Okay?
good.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, any speakers online?
Those of you on Zoom, if you'd like to make a public comment, please use the raise your hand feature. No additional public comments. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That brings us to consent. We have some consent items. Any questions or comments from the board?
Mr. Chair, I'll move the consent calendar.
We have a first and a second. Roll call, please.
Yes, Director Sailors,
Aye.
Director Gould,
Aye.
Director Wood,
Aye.
Director Stark,
Aye.
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Rice,
Aye.
Director Weber,
Aye.
and President Costa.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. The consent calendar is adopted.
All right, thank you. That brings us to presentation items. We have one item on operations, Deputy Chief Wagaman and team. Good evening.
Good evening, President Costa, directors, Fire Chief House, staff, colleagues. Tyler Wagaman, Deputy Chief of Operations, with an operations presentation this evening. Let the operations group, come on down. Rarely do I get reinforcement, so I'm going to take advantage of it tonight. Just waiting for the presentation to pop up and we'll go ahead and get started.
I forget his name.
Thank you, Ethan. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So tonight's presentation aims at illustrating the robust framework established under the purview of our operations chiefs, showcasing the significant strides made in recent months. As we delve deeper into the insights shared by these operations chiefs, a recurring theme emerges, echoing our operational pillars of strong communication, unity, and performance. Strong communication remains foundational in our successes, ensuring that information flows clearly, promptly throughout the organization. This commitment to transparency fosters open channels for feedback, allows us to clarify expectation, and optimize our processes. Unity, likewise, plays a crucial role in breaking down silos that can hinder collaboration, thereby enhancing cross-team efforts. A culture of belonging and shared purpose is cultivated as we work collectively towards common goals. Moreover, our focus on performance emphasizes the enhancements of efficiency, reliability, and accountability in our services. By taking clear ownership of tasks and outcomes, we position ourselves to not only meet, but exceed the expectations of those that we serve. As we reflect on the progress achieved thus far, it is evident that these principles are not merely aspirational, but they are actively shaping a more cohesive and effective operational team. The operations branch consists of over 650 members, broken up into the Wellness, Health, and Safety Division, our fire and emergency medical responses through 3 shifts, A, B, and C shift, and 1 member at the Sacramento Regional Fire Emergency Communication Center. Tonight, you'll be hearing from Chiefs Peck, Carollo, Vestal, Aldrich, Wilburn, Richards, and on some of the amazing work that they have done within their division, their shift, assignment, or agency. First, you'll be hearing from our Wellness, Health, and Safety Assistant Chief, Peck.
Good evening, President Costa, Board of Directors, Chief House, colleagues, members of the public. Good to be here again. Tony Peck, Assistant Chief, Wellness, Health, and Safety Division. And tonight I'm here to talk to you about the focus groups within Wellness, Health, and Safety. A lot of what I'm going to talk about I covered in May when I gave you an update on the division, so this will be kind of a brief refresher. First focus group we have is Safety Officer, head by myself and Chief Gonzalez, and there's really two components to this. First of all is our Operational Safety Officers, which we call OSOs in the field. We have about 13 of them between A, B, and C shift, and these are company officers that are assigned within the field, but they help us in an investigative capacity. And they're especially helpful after hours and on the weekends. And so one thing we're trying to do is bolster this program, trying to get as many OSOs as we can in the field, and trying to give them the training that they need. And like I said, not only do they augment what we do in the division, but this is a great professional development opportunity for our company officers. The second component is our shift safety officer proposal. This is something that we're looking at, possibility of a 24/7 shift safety officer that would work a 4896 schedule that would respond automatically to significant events and would be at the incident commander's disposal immediately when needed. And with the lithium-ion fires that we're seeing, the emergence of those and the hazards associated with them, the decontamination efforts, this is really pushing this to the forefront for Metro Fire. Our second focus group is our nearest reporting system. This is a National Emergency Response Information System that replaced NFIRS for us. Chief Gonzalez actually oversees this focus group, and he's kind of the SME for other battalion chiefs to reach out when they have questions, when they have ideas, they have suggestions. A few other things that we're working on with that is streamline opportunities. What can we do to streamline what we do out there? For example, company officers, some of them, depending on what station they work at, will do 15 to 20 reports a day. So how can we possibly condense that, streamline that, so they can spend more time training with their crews or just getting more sleep? Also, future exposure reporting for those crews that are on scene for fires, hazmats, or lithium ion. How do we collect that information, tabulate it for future use? And then finally, data collection. Everything we do is data driven. So when it comes to staffing, standards of coverage, how can we maximize that capability? Next, we have lithium ion fires. We've talked about that a great deal here. We do have our working group that's working on lithium ion fires here at Metro Fire, working on decontamination guidelines, operational protocols, networking. Every agency in the Sacramento region is trying to find the best way to deal with these lithium ion fires. So we're working together. We're partnering to come up with better options. Also, the working group's done a great job of bringing forth some training. In September, we're going to have some all hands on deck training. There's a captain from Roseville Fire who's well known throughout the region in terms of lithium ion fire knowledge. So we're going to be having an all hands on deck training in September, all crews. Welfare checks. This is the work comp liaison we've talked about multiple times. This is led by Captain Steve Harrington, who is our new peer support lead, who took over for Captain Manfredi, who's now working in the field. And with this, Captain Harrington will continue to touch base with those employees on work comp, making sure they're okay. Are there any peer support needs? And also he is working in lockstep with HR and how we can help members navigate that system more efficiently, getting them back to work, and also just educating them more to help relieve some of that anxiety and frustration they have. Station exposure reduction. This is our 10-year cancer reduction plan. We are doing a great job in this agency with the new station design when it comes to exposure reduction. But what are we doing about our current stations that we have in terms of turnouts that are still in the at bays, gyms that are still in the at bay, climate event systems, different station modifications, upgrades? This is actually head by myself and Chief Jewell. And then finally, commanding the Mayday. This is actually a collaboration between myself and all the shift commanders. Maydays in the fire service, this is a low frequency, high risk event, not just here at Metro Fire, but every agency. Here at Metro Fire, we've probably seen about a half a dozen Maydays in the last 5 years, and we've been lucky we haven't had any sentinel events. But with low frequency events, human nature is we tend to focus on them less and train on them less. So that's why we developed this focus group with specific attention on command and control and how we're going to successfully integrate our rapid intervention crews. You'll be seeing more of that. And those are the focus groups for wellness, health, and safety. Any questions?
Right. Director Sailors.
Can you go back to what used to be called NFIRS, but it's now what, NEFRIS?
Here, so National Emergency Response Information System.
So,
There we go.
yeah. Oh, NERIS? Is that how you say it, NERIS? What kind of a computer program do you use to do your reporting in?
That I don't know, but I do have Chief Gonzalez here. Who might know that. Image Trend. Image Trend.
Oh, Image Trend, okay.
I'm sorry.
And so does the Image Trend automatically do your NERIS reporting now for you? Because did it used to do, I'm looking at
Yeah, I'll turn into my SME here, my subject matter expert.
computer guy out there. So did it automatically report to NFIRS in the past when they hit submit report? So does this new program, NERIS, also automatically send a certain percentage of the captain's reports to the federal government and to California for?
Director Sailors, to answer your question, Chief
Yeah.
Gonzalez. The old NFIRS system had to be submitted quarterly, and it was pushed out by operations. The new system is completely integrated. So as soon as they're finished with the report, it goes off to the federal government, which is housed at the United States Fire Administration.
Yeah. Do we still have to submit to the state of California for any reporting anymore?
Nope, that is all done automatically
It's done automatically.
through the system.
So, but we still have to report.
We still report out, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so NERIS, and NERIS does it through, it starts with an I in what's?
Image Trend. Image Trend is
Image
the
Trend, okay.
application we use. It's all web-based and in a cloud, so that's why it's all instantaneous.
Okay, great. Thank you. That answers my questions. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Any other questions from the board? All right, no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. President Costa, Directors, Chief House, good evening. Ross Carollo, I've met most of you along the way at some point in the last 20+ years, but currently in the capacity of working as an out-of-class shift AC for A shift last 10 months. So I'm going to give you just a peek behind the curtain, what we're doing on A shift, hopefully make it more of a personal level, so you're hearing names and things like that. Going to give you some changes we've done in the communication process of at the shift commander level on down. Going to give you kind of some assignments of what the A shift BCs are doing beyond the 20,000 plus calls they've ran so far just on A shift since January of this year. And then I'll kind of give you just a snippet of what A shift's vision is for the next 6 months to a year. So firstly, we changed some communication pathways at the shift commander level. Just as a reminder, shift commanders will develop an operational brief the night before they go for their 2 days, for their 48 hours. They will blast that out to email to all the BCs, anybody kind of in the command staff level. The BCs will then take information that's there, that's purview to their specific battalion, and they will send out their own morning message every day. We've cleaned up that piece quite a bit. My ops brief looks the same as Chief Aldrich, looks the same as Chief Johnson's now. Formats, standardization, there's a lot of information that comes into that. And what we found is that too much information is not good and not enough is not good. So I think that process has definitely been streamlined. Regarding the focus areas, I was just going to write down the list of what the folks are doing, but we're going to tag some names to it just because they're not just employee ID numbers. They're people that are working their tail off. So Battalion 5A shift, we have Mike Sloan. If you know anything about Mike Sloan, he's passionate about processes, and he identified that maybe we're missing the mark a bit of how we're escorting the retiree folks out the door. And so he's developed a process to celebrate it if they want to, do something, some type of cultural thing for the agency to develop as these folks that work 25, 35 years are on their way out the door. It shouldn't be that they're just turning in their gear and this is the last they see of the place. So Mike's championing that right now on Battalion 5A shift. Battalion 7 A shift is Chief Montgomery. He's promoted about 6 weeks ago, two months ago. He's already taken over the RIC operations, how that's going to roll out to the command staff and then down to the line. If you recall, we used to have a time period where every year we were doing regional type RIC training. We're bringing that back in a microwave because it's prioritized based off what Chief Peck was talking about in the May Days. We need to be ready for the next as command officers in this organization. So he's championing that. Captain Manfredi is working out of class as a Battalion 9 on A shift right now. He's been there a solid 2-3 weeks. I think his first fire was on the 4th of July, actually, as a brand new BC trying out. Did great. He's still maintaining the peer support stuff that you guys saw him up here before. Welfare checks, all that, those kind of things. Chief Chris Reed, longest tenured BC we have in this organization, 14, 16 years, something like that. He's taken over the AR process of when we look at incidents and what went well, what we can work on, collaging that into something that's functional for the firehouse at the kitchen table of some short takeaways in a very short format. And he provides some historical, because he's been here for 35 years, so he provides some historical stuff of repeat events in the past. Lastly, we have Chief Daly, Battalion 14 A shift. If you know Sean, he's an overachiever. He was the single point of contact for his whole behavior health as this spooled out about a year and a half ago and landed on overlaps. He's been at all the regional, all the county-wide type meetings. He's still the point of contact for that. And Sean is anything to do with law enforcement, if you know Sean. So he has all the relationships of all the organizations around here with the sheriffs, CHPD, Rancho. So if we have any law enforcement liaison issues, Sean is our guy. So with that, that's what the men and women of A shift are doing. That's what the BCs are doing. And that is not to take away from the 200 folks on A shift that are running those 20,000 calls so far since January. Those are the ones doing the work. Our job's to support them, get out of their way, and give them the tools they need to amplify those things. So I think that's about it. I think my 5 minutes is up, but that's what's going on for A shift.
Any questions from the board? Director Weber.
Yes, sir. So you keep mentioning A shift, A shift. Is this being either shared with or rolled out with all 3 shifts?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
I'm going to dovetail on the answer to that question. So these focus groups, we have over 35 right now. We didn't have any just a few months ago. These weren't assigned to chief officers. They were accepted, taken, and created by the chief officers. And the goal is whatever focus area they have, it is shared on all 3 shifts, every station, so we have consistency across the board. As you know, that is a massive undertaking, but we have a huge operations team that's willing to do that, and they're doing a really good job of it. So with that, I would like to tie into B shift. Chief Johnson could not be here this evening, so I'm going to do my best to speak on his behalf through his lens. Now, the pillars remain the same. How they get there, there's going to be some differences, right? And that's okay, because that is their personal touch on the challenges that we're trying to bring solutions to. So first is communication. Chief Johnson maintains an information sharing conduit from the executive team all the way down to the firehouse. He provides timely and accurate, relevant information to operations members, stakeholders, and the community, allowing for information to be passed through the organization at all levels. Unity. He builds relationships to support a shared vision, goals, and objectives, reinforcing a cohesive team that functions as one Metro Fire, promoting collaboration and mutual support across all levels. Performance. He emphasizes delivering the best service that we can to our community, fostering growth through positive reinforcement and achievable expectations, and encourages continuous improvement and accountability. Assigned to B shift, we have Battalion Chiefs Malinowski, Jason Vestal, Chris Vestal, Pittman, and Jewel. Focus areas assigned to this shift, again, that is cross-pollinated. The outputs of their work is going across all 3 shifts. The first is battalion training sites. So there's a BC that is solely responsible for picking 1 fire station per battalion that is consistent across the entire district, that provides a classroom, IT equipment, and firefighter props like the roof prop, 1 in each battalion. So again, we can practice the same sets and reps throughout the entire district. It doesn't matter what battalion you're in. The Reserve Firefighter Program. So battalion chief assists a captain that assists Mark Siebert. And again, he makes almost all the decisions, but we're here to support him in the day-to-day operations of the reserve program, their training and their equipment. A rapid intervention crew. So we have a battalion chief that is solely focused on making sure that that package maintains assembled throughout the district, that if there's any updates to the SOGs that they get updated, as well as provides consistent training across all 3 shifts and provides that annual hands-on training. Battalion vehicle specifications. This is a big deal. These battalion chiefs have custom vehicles. There's a lot of equipment in it, and they need to have input on what those vehicles get built out like. So there are battalion chiefs that are taking on this project. They're working with our communications division, our IT folks, making sure that those vehicles are set up so they can be successful when they put it into service. Our Metro Incident Management Team. This is a team that we can put together for local disasters and large events here locally. It also gives members an opportunity to submit interest and seek qualifications for the Sacramento Incident Management Team. VMP burns. Again, we're going to actually dive a little bit deeper into this specific topic. As much as I would love to go and have a tactical conversation with all of you on all 35 of these focus areas, we will do it for one tonight because I think it's important you can see the depth that these chief officers are putting in to these specific focus areas. So with that, I would like to bring up Chief Vestal, who's going to do a deeper dive into wildland operations for this year.
Thank you, Chief Wagaman. President Costa, members of the board, Chief House, everybody watching at home and our audience. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the practical application of the operations branch pillars that Chief Wagaman's been talking about. And as I look out across the room, there's not a single person in this room from the deputy chief, fire chief level on down. Of course, all of you as well with some of your involvement. And everybody in this room has had some level of direct impact on what we did this year for our wildland operations, from training to application of BMP burns all the way down to some of the equipment changes that we're making. So we'll get into it. So this practical application, we followed the same pillars: communication, unity, and performance. One of the things with communication was we felt like we needed to give some clear expectations and direction to all of our men and women in the fire stations. We had some questions about what we're supposed to do in certain situations. So 2 of us, it turned out to be my brother and I, delivered the exact same training plan to every single firefighter in the field, over 600 people during the month of May. Same message, very clear, and I think we've eliminated some of the confusion about certain topics. We've actually seen that already play out on some of our fires early this season. For our unity, it's really important to look at not just what we do in intra-division within the district, but also outside of the agency. So working with other fire departments, and we worked up with about 5 or 6 others. We've also worked with Sac County Regional Parks and a lot of their stakeholders as well to conduct these burns. And it's a massive, massive undertaking. For about 500 acres is what we did this year. And we trained about 200 to 300 of our people on live burns, and about 150 to 200 outside agency personnel too, across multiple counties, and also using tools and communications that we hadn't used before. So that was a really major program to put together, almost like a large incident over the multiple burns that we did. And then finally, the performance, that equals our professionalism. So are our actions that we're putting into the field, the way we're responding to calls, the way we're organizing ourselves before the incidents, and of course, what we do after, does that mean the professional expectation, not just of all of you as our leaders, but also the California Fire Service? How we work on mutual aid. Are we going to be able to work with our brothers and sisters down in San Diego on a large incident, whether we're down there or they come up here on one of our incidents? So that's what we're working towards. Excuse me. So we talked about some of the expectations and creating an organizational command presence. And one of the ways we did that was through all of this training that we put on. And then, of course, making people understand that when we go to a fire, is this going to be a 1-hour event, a 6-hour event, or a multi-day event? And that early recognition is vital so that we can do the right choices that actually keep a fire smaller and decrease our duration on that incident so that we can get back in service faster for everything else that we do in the organization. While all this applies specifically to wildland fire that we're talking about tonight, it really expands all the way into all of our all hazard response, both locally and how we communicate, how we interact with other organizations outside of this one, whether it's an earthquake in the Bay Area or LA, floods throughout the state, or any other kind of natural disaster where you might actually get us to respond. And then that organizational command presence. So we gave clear direction. I know I've said this a few times, but what we did is we wanted to establish what our expectations of our people were. And it was very clear, and a lot of people had questions that were answered. We've received positive feedback and that, we never heard that before. Thank you for telling us this is exactly what you want, and this is exactly what the expectations are in this arena. All right, and then unity through collaboration. Like I said, there's a lot of agencies that we work with, not just fire departments. So as we do this, we looked at everything we need. And I look across the room, I see Mark Siebert back there. And I'd call him up the night before and say, hey, I need a bunch of stuff delivered tomorrow. And usually he'd say, why didn't you ask me 2 days ago? Fair question. Captain Nunez and PIO, doing press releases and community notifications, mailers. He was working with his counterparts with Sacramento County and their PIO shop that work for the county parks. EMS, we're working with some of the changes to some of our ALS gear on our Type 3 deployable engines. Communications shop, we'll talk about it a little bit later. We're getting some new communications devices that will help us be more interoperable throughout the state and here locally as well. So those are just a few examples. I don't mean to leave anybody out, but literally everybody in this room had some kind of touch in this. The other thing is Chris Green, Chief Green, I got to give him a lot of credit too. I worked under his direction for the training portion of this, and he was great. Let us do what we needed to do. Made all of his staff and other resources available to us. So we talked about the stakeholders, Sacramento County Parks, everything they did. They gave us the land that we could burn. They worked with us a lot as well. We had other entities that they leased their land to. One of them is a Model Airplane Club who loved having us out. They're actually happy that they can crash their planes now without worrying about a fire starting, which has happened. But that's one of those things that, when you look at this, the depth of what we do in every single thing, not just wildland, not just all hazard response, but all these other focus groups that Chief Wagman is talking about. There's so much going on behind the scenes that you don't always see when we publish a product because it took so much just to get there. And then, of course, our partner agency coordination. We worked with a lot of other fire departments, but specifically CAL FIRE Amador El Dorado probably gave us about 5,000 hours of their time between all their people just this year in the last 3 months. An enormous amount of resource help on our incidents, not just firefighters and hand crews, but some of their management personnel. We traded signing people off for task books and qualifications. Really, really valuable. And then about $1.5 million in VHF communications in kind. So that is a major value to the organization for that. And I'm going to bring up Chief Callan Richards now. He is the assistant chief and in charge of the West Slope division. He can specifically tell you what that means, but he'll talk about some of those other things that we did this year. Chief.
Excuse me, Mr. President?
Yes, we have a question?
For Vestal?
Yes.
Actually, thank you, sir.
Jones.
Chief Vestal, I want to give a shout out to you and all the members who participated in this. Speaking as a stakeholder with the American River Parkway Coalition meeting, I want this board of directors and staffs, especially senior staff, to know that I constantly receive very positive feedback in terms of Metro Fire as being a partner to help prevent wildfires in our local area. So more local focus and a big shout out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Jones.
Thank you, Director.
Good evening, President Costa, board members, Chief House, members of the public. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Callan Richards. I'm an assistant chief with CAL FIRE in the Amador El Dorado unit. I currently serve in the West Division that encompasses the McClellan Air Tanker Base, our cooperative fire protection agreement in Cameron Park, and I also serve as the agency rep for Sacramento County Fire agencies. I'm here tonight to recognize the strong partnership that continues to grow between CAL FIRE and Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District. Over the past year, we've worked together on joint trainings, vegetation management projects, merging opportunities, and strengthening relationships between our personnel. These efforts ensure we're better prepared to respond when our communities need us most. I also want to recognize Sac Metro for their significant investment in expanding their wildfire training and preparedness. Their commitment to building wildfire capacity through training, collaboration, and regional partnerships has strengthened not only their organization, but the entire region's ability to respond to complex incidents. One of the greatest benefits of this partnership has been the relationships we've built. When firefighters train together before an emergency, communication, trust, and teamwork come naturally when stakes are at their highest. I'd like to thank Chief Vestal, both of them, Chief Wagaman, the shift commanders, and the battalion chiefs for their leadership and commitment to the regional collaboration. Their willingness to work together, share their knowledge, and invest in wildfire preparedness is making all of our communities safer. On behalf of CAL FIRE, thank you for your partnership, your continued commitment to protecting the communities we serve. I'd be happy to answer any questions or expand on any of the efforts that we've been working on together.
All right, any questions from the board? Director Rice.
Chief and Chief Vestal, gosh, it goes back probably 30 years to American River Fire when we first started training with Amador El Dorado. And we had type 6s, pickup trucks with skid mounted pumps. And we had a battalion chief, Jim McDowell, that took it on. In that time, when we responded to strike teams, we were in jumpsuits or full turnouts. But where I'm going with this, to have been an active partner with CAL FIRE and Local 2881 for these past 20 some odd years, working very closely with Chief Tyler, I am so proud of the relationship between CAL FIRE and Sacramento Metropolitan Fire Department. Nowhere in the state do we have operational and labor relations between departments like we do right here. And it's been a testament to two very, very large, very, very professional organizations. And to actually, Chief, to have you here and address the board and kind of give us insight does my heart good, because a lot of people don't understand how hard this organization has worked to be collaborative with our partners at CAL FIRE. And thank you for all you do. And thank you for the interest in this municipal fire department and our training needs and helping us meet our training needs. It's a big deal. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Appreciate it.
We do have a little bit more too, so.
Yes, please.
Hey, Director Rice hit the nail on the head. We work every day. For those who don't know, we actually have state responsibility area within Metro Fire's jurisdiction. So that means is they're actually responsible for the response to vegetation fires, where we have all the other responsibility for other fire protection. So in those areas, we still respond with each other. And in the past, there has been some ebbs and flows over times where we've been better or not been as good. So right now, I think we've never been as good as we've ever been, at least in the 25-ish years that I've worked here. So that's something I'm proud of, but it's taken a lot of work from a lot of people on our side and theirs as well. So with the performance is professionalism. So with those, you know, our cities as Rancho Cordova, Citrus Heights, of course, the unincorporated areas of Sacramento County that we serve all expect that and deserve that. Everybody respond to across the state deserves that when we respond to fires in their area. So we want to make sure we're there. The training burns are important for that. The actual ability to not just practice spraying water on fire, but to manage and exercise communications and the collaborative unified command process that we do. So important. The things we did this year, we did an initial attack response on those fires. We had training strike teams deployed, and we've already sent one initial attack strike team this year, about a week ago, to Yolo County in the Lake Naba unit. One of the things I do want to talk about with training, we sent 2 strike teams to some of CAL FIRE's burns. One of those was coming back. It was the day of our training center. Most of you probably saw the smoke pop up towards the end. We actually used our strike team that was demobbed or just demobbing and on its way back to us and assigned them to the fire. So they got a real world experience and application of that. 2 days later, we had another training strike team up. We were the ALS coverage for that particular fire. And there was a firefighter from CAL FIRE that took a chainsaw to their leg. And so we were able to be there and provide ALS and help out with that right off the bat. So again, these training environments are real world. Even though they're somewhat controlled, they're real world. Highlighted what we did this year also in the classroom settings. This is something called the SIM table. We've had it since about 2020. We've not really been able to apply it for a multitude of reasons. So we put this thing in. This does real life fire spread with real life actions. And this was part of the expectation that we had for people recognizing a fire was small or big and how to respond to it. We hosted 2 training sessions at a time, different sites, and then they both ran those fires collaboratively together from the different sites. So we had to practice our communications, and we had a couple operators that put the inputs in. So that was a real nice win for the organization. A couple of looks at our training burns and some of the action there. No dollar amount can justify or provide the value for it. We could add up all of our costs, but the real world experience and the exposure, especially for our new firefighters, can't be beat. Communications, we talk about communications, everything we do. Every time we have a firefighter fatality or serious injury, it comes back to communications. So that was one of our large focuses. It's not just disseminating information down, it's communications on the incident. It's all the requests that I made to everybody in this room to make this training plan happen this year. So thanks to CAL FIRE, we've been able to improve our communications this year vastly. All of these were applied. I think that, we had a great outcome. I'm really focused on evaluating what happens this fire season and seeing if we made all the improvements. And then, of course, what happens next year. And I got to give a couple shout outs real quick before we get into a quick video. But obviously, Battalion Chief Jason Vestal, key player, huge. And then we had a lot of other people in the room, but specifically Captains Taylor Lowhite, Joe Schmidt, and Josh Leonard, who were vital in letting us perform this year. So hopefully they take my spot here in a couple of years in the not too distant future, and they're the ones presenting to you. Ethan, are you going to cue up the video? Yeah.
This morning, Sacramento Metro fire crews set a 250-acre field on fire, and it'll allow them to train and help with environmental restoration.
So this field is part of Jean Andel Park, right off of Florin Road, and KCRA3's Peyton Headley shows us what it looked like.
Burning across Jean Andel Park in Sacramento County, this fire, a training ground.
We need to practice in the real world environment, and there's nothing like that for wildfires except for real live wildfire itself.
Metro fire crews set the fire and then spent the morning controlling it.
Whether through cutting line, using hose lines off fire engines, or actually using more fire to influence the direction and speed of the fire.
All the while beginning a clean slate for this landscape.
It consumes the invasive seeds of the non-native and invasive grasses that are out here that are kind of detrimental to the vernal pools and the native species.
Now the native species, which are more resilient to fire, can grow back stronger.
I think it's fantastic. In fact, I'd like to see them do it every year.
For those who frequent the park, specifically its model airport, it's all around great news.
Oh, when it's burned down, there's two things. One, we can't catch it on fire. And two, if a plane does crash, which they happens once in a while, we can find it real easy.
The flames, a tool in an area all too familiar with fire.
We're doing these in areas that have had fires in the past. We're reducing that threat, not eliminating it, but we're reducing that impact that those fires could have if one were to start.
Metro Fire says this is their fourth and their final and their biggest wildland fire training of the season. In Sacramento County, Peyton Headley, KCRA 3 News.
And crews were there from all over the region. Officials say getting the chance to train with people they don't work with every day could really make a big difference when a larger incident breaks out.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay. That concludes my portion.
All right, Dr. Woods.
Chief, I got a quick question. A couple of years ago, I was at Training Burn down here on Excelsior watching what you guys were doing, and it was the infancy of our UAV program. One thing I didn't notice in here is any mention of the value of that. If you could expand on that just for people's education, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So our UAV program, unmanned aerial vehicle, it's great for a number of reasons. If our helicopter is not available, it gives us an aerial platform to be able to get an assessment of the fire, where the fire may be headed, any kind of risk that might be up ahead, and lets us as incident commanders make some strategic decisions. It gives us an actual eyes on the fire rather than looking at a cloud of smoke and having no clue what's happening a half mile, 2 miles up ahead of us. That's one of the biggest impacts it has. The other one is for completing that fire, getting it controlled, making a containment. They're actually able to do infrared sensing now, so they can provide that to us in real time and provide a map for us on scene so that we can use that to determine and fully suppress any kind of hotspots after the fire's out. So big advantage to us. And obviously, it takes a lot of technology, a lot of investment by you, the board, and the fire district, but it also makes us better. It makes us more professional. And our UAV program is actually working with CAL FIRE's aerial units to kind of create a standard for interoperability. On these specific burns, they actually worked with our air ops, and they did a lot of deconfliction practice, which they've only done on real incidents before, which is just a snapshot of time. So they were able to do it for about an hour on a couple of our burns this year and actually get better at it. Work through the communications, the airspace deconfliction, whatever heights they're going to fly at. Things they've done before, but never had the opportunity to do it for the duration that they were able to do it this time.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Welcome.
Oh boy. So worky. There we go. All right. Good evening, directors, President Costa, Chief House, colleagues, members of the public. I'm Joe Aldrich, C-Shift Shift Commander. I'm going to follow along with the theme. We appreciate your patience. This clicker's not so, it's not liking me. All right. So continuing with the theme, like Chief Carollo said, we have our operations brief and our battalion chief morning messages, which come out every rotation. The morning messages are every shift. And then in addition to that, we also have station visits. So we've encouraged the battalion chiefs. This is something that's always happened, but we decided as a group across all shifts to make it a point to get out into the stations and have that face-to-face communication with the crews on a daily basis when we're out there. So you may wonder, okay, so where are we getting all of our information to share in our operations briefs that gets trickled down to the crews? So we have our bi-monthly operations chief meetings, which is the shift commanders, Chief Wilborn, Chief Peck, sometimes Chief Wernicke and Chief Wagaman, where we meet at Station 106 and Chief Wagaman comes with topics for us, and then we bring items to discuss with the group as well. So that's one of the ways that we get our information. We also attend professional staff meetings. We attend command staff meetings, and then we try to, that same day, put together a summary of notes from the meeting and send that out to the battalion chiefs who can then send it to their crews. We also make it a point to attend all of the Citrus Heights and Rancho Cordova City Council meetings so that we can share valuable information such as the Downtown Dover project in Rancho Cordova. We have quarterly battalion chief meetings as well, which is a good opportunity for all the chiefs across all the shifts to get together and discuss important topics and then what we're going to focus on for the next quarter until we meet again. And then lastly, we get information from our partners in the county, Folsom, Sacramento Fire, Cosumnes. We meet on a monthly and quarterly basis and discuss items that relate to the region. And we share the relevant information with our battalion chiefs. So that's how we communicate. For me, the most important thing, I agree with Chief Richards, communication is about trust and relationships. So that's part of why we emphasize getting out in the stations, having the face time with the crews. That's the most important part. So in order to improve our teamwork, our unity, in addition to regular communications, we have structured assistant chief and BC meetings, trainings. We meet for coffee, we have lunch, we talk about what's going on, what are the needs out there. And then the BCs have those same type of conversations with their captains and their crews in the stations. How do we assess our unity, our teamwork? Well, in the emergency world, we do it on incidents. we can evaluate what our performance looks like and then how we're going to make it better. And I'll talk about that on the next slide. And then in the administrative world, you've heard a lot about the focus areas that the battalion chiefs have been working with us on for several months now. The battalion chiefs on C shift are Battalion 5 Chief Bailey, Battalion 7 Chief Koscielny, Battalion 9 Chief Perryman, Battalion 13 Chief Cole, and Battalion 14 is Chief Graff. Chief Bailey works with me for staffing. Obviously, they're very busy keeping our rigs staffed and on the road. Also, the engine team, which works on what do we need on the engine, new equipment. We have a process for that. Chief Koscielny is working on pre-plans, which is basically a map of commercial buildings in our district so that we have a plan before we get to the incident of where's the access point? Is there a gate? Where's the apartment that I'm going to? All of that information. We're working with Jake Whelan on improving that and making that more robust across the district. Chief Koscielny is also working on facilities inspections. That's a program that's still done on paper, and we need to update that process to make it more streamlined and up to date. Cooperators meeting, Chief Graff works on that. That's an annual meeting. We meet with CAL FIRE and all our other regional partners to talk about or prepare for the wildland season. Tank farm and foam operations, Chief Perryman is working on that project. We have many tank farms in our area, and it's a huge hazard for us, and we need to revisit that often to make sure that we're keeping up with the latest and greatest on that. Command and control training, working with BCs, but also working with captains. We want to make sure that they can take a division on an incident, that they can run an incident. They're very capable and can do that. Tablet command, Chief DePertis is working on days right now. He was on C shift, so he is still the lead for that, and he reports to me for tablet command, and he has someone that assists him on every shift. So I talked about performance. How do we evaluate it? On an incident, we have what's called an AAR, an after action review. On the majority of incidents, we meet at the incident, all the crews get together, we talk about what went well, what do we need to improve for next time? And then if we have significant learning points, we will put out an official written AAR that will be shared with everybody in the district. Another way that we evaluate our performance is company drills, battalion drills. We get together, we talk about strategies and tactics, see where we're at, where we need to improve. And then, like I mentioned before, command and control training. All right. Oh, sorry. It worked double that. Okay, so what are some of my goals moving forward? Once again, I appreciate your patience. We've tried to improve communication, increase communication in the operations world, but on an incident, that's not the best thing, right? On the radio, we want to say more with less. So moving forward, all the shift ACs have agreed that we're going to work on radio communications so that we can keep them clear, concise, to the point, essential information only, so that critical information can get out. We're going to continue to expand our command and control training, expanding incidents training. We'll talk about some of the incidents we've had recently. You'll see where that's important. And then also more multi-company drills where we're getting crews together from across battalions, outside agencies, and then we're adding a command and control component to those multi-company drills so we can assess our performance. So these are the goals. This is how we're going to improve our communication, unity, and performance on C shift. I'll take your questions.
Thank you. Any questions? No questions. Thank you.
Next up, Chief Wilborn.
Good evening, President Costa, Board of Directors, Chief House, colleagues. I don't know if we want to take a pause and stretch. 5 jumping jacks would be a good thing. I'm Parker Wilborn. I'm the Chief Executive Director for the Sacramento Regional Fire and EMS Communication Center as of coming on 2 weeks now. As I begin serving as the Chief Executive Director, my goal is not to change what's made our fire dispatch great. It's to continue to improve on the service delivery that we provide and think 10, 15, 20 years down the line, because before you know it, we'll be there. Tonight, I'd like to share 3 priorities that will help us do exactly that. And coincidentally, they also align with the communications, unity, and performance priorities and pillars for Chief Wagaman. To kick things off, I'd like to play a short clip from CBS News to give you an example of the hard work our dispatchers endure, especially on days like the 4th. Now, this was my first week We did have challenges. We actually had a power outage. We had 2 generators running at once. And so it's very interesting, but I'd like to play that clip for you. And I want to thank Captain Nunez. This was the first time we've actually had media in the dispatch center in years. And on that particular day, we had channel 3, 10, 13, 40, Telemundo, the SAC-B, and our River City at times, Rancho Marietta paper. So we had a tremendous amount of media outpouring, and that was all thanks to our PAO, Captain Mark Nunez.
All right, we sure are. And look at here, 4th of July celebrations are already underway. Friday night kicking off with a bang in our region. Thanks for joining us here at 10. I'm Tony Lopez. Hope you're doing well. We start with a split picture of the holiday. On one hand, celebration, patriotism, and fun. On the other, the busiest weekend of the year for first responders preparing for, get this, 1,000 911 calls in just 4 hours. That's what emergency dispatchers are bracing for this 4th of July. Connor McGill is live outside the dispatch center, bringing us an inside look, Connor, at what it takes to keep this weekend safe.
Well, a busy weekend for dispatchers here in Sacramento County. You know, Tony, you mentioned that stat, 100,000 calls expected over the 4th of July weekend. And you look at that in comparison to the 500,000 calls they get nearly every year. And tonight we're getting a behind the scenes look at what their work looks like ahead of the big 4th of July weekend.
Hello, this is the fire department. What's the address of the emergency?
When a 911 fire, medical aid, or rescue call comes in, dispatchers like Nolan Salter are there to answer.
And what's on fire?
The 4th of July holiday is often their busiest time of year.
As soon as the sun goes down until about 1 a.m., it is wall-to-wall busy.
The Sacramento Regional Fire and EMS Communications Center takes calls for all of Sacramento County and dispatches fire engines for 10 different departments.
We are the first responders. I mean, you pick up that phone and we're the first one that you're going to talk to when it comes to the medical and fire aspect.
All right, I'm sending the paramedics to help now.
Their goal is to answer each emergency call within 4 rings. But on busy days like the 4th of July, the volume of calls doubles.
You know, if someone's house catches fire, we are going to get maybe 20 calls on that.
Dispatchers are also trained to coach 911 callers on providing medical aid as firefighters rush to the scene.
We will give you instructions on how to do CPR. If your vehicle goes into floodwater, we walk you through how to get out of your car. If you find someone drowning in a pool, we tell you how to safely get them out and how to save their life.
The dispatch center's wall has a tree of life, with each leaf signifying a person who they help save.
They're able to live the rest of their lives.
And the butterflies represent babies they help deliver over the phone. They've had 2 born in just the last 2 days.
I have to tell you, it is the greatest feeling in the world. I got choked up.
Extra help will be on hand for this 4th of July weekend, and Nolan says they're ready to help out on any emergencies.
We got all hands on deck and we just do what we got to do.
All hands on deck as they head into the busy 4th of July weekend. Again, expecting a plethora of calls out here. And we, of course, will be monitoring all the 4th of July stuff. I'll be back nightside tomorrow bringing you the latest with all the 4th of July news. We'll have to wait and see those illegal fireworks. You can kind of hear some of them faintly in the distance here. I'm sure tomorrow, as America turns 250, we're going to hear a lot more of that.
No doubt. All right, Connor, great job. We'll see you then. Appreciate you.
Pretty much it. So, as Nolan alluded to, we are at the comm center, we are the first responder, and every emergency begins with a call to 911. Before the first engine responds, before that first EMT or paramedic crosses the threshold, before the first command decision is made, dispatch has already started managing that incident. Sacramento Regional Fire Dispatch today is made up of about 60 personnel, and that's operations and administrative. Field 500,000 calls for service each year. That's a 40% increase since 2012 and an 80% increase since early 2000s. Dispatch out 250,000 calls for service, serve 10 fire departments and 1.5 million residents across 1,000 square miles of Sacramento County. Priority 1, our people in our service. The center has exceptional people, and our challenge isn't quality, it's capacity. Since 2000, like I said, our call volumes increased 80%, staffing's only increased 17%. Today, unfortunately, we retain only about 30% of the people that we hire on. Supporting our workforce is one of the greatest investments we can make at Metro Fire. We talk about communication. Improving communication between dispatch and Metro Fire is a priority. We reevaluate the county's plan. Right now, we're currently operating off a radio plan from 25 years ago when that call volume was 80% less. We need to bump that up. What that looks like, I don't know yet, but that's already been addressed at the county ops meeting. We are going to make some changes. It's important to realize we can broaden that out. Right now, we have 9 agencies operating on the A-Bank. So there's challenges there that we're going to dive into. And also share positive outcomes and lessons learned on the communications front. As far as Unity goes, expand dispatcher firefighter ride-alongs and sit-alongs for shared perspective. Sometimes we lose sight of what we're doing. Dispatchers will never be firefighters, and firefighters will never be dispatchers, but we can bridge the gap, and I'm going to help do that. The team's going to help do that. Increased joint training and after-action reviews is another priority for Unity on this particular subject. And performance, improve recruitment and retention, look for opportunities to improve morale and recognition, and evaluate flexible staffing models. The models of yesterday are not necessarily the models that work today. We've made some changes at Metro Fire, and there's opportunities at the communication center as well. Why does that matter to Metro Fire? When dispatchers know your people, understand our operations, and stay within our organization, your crews, our crews at Metro Fire receive better information, stronger support, and more consistent service. Priority 2, future readiness. Technology should improve emergency operations and not complicate it. Going into the 3, communication, unity, and performance, we're looking at CAD enhancements. This has been a touchy subject for many years on our CAD. We've had challenges there. Over the next 2 years, the priority is to have at least AVL and AVRR, automatic vehicle locator, and automatic vehicle response and routing fully integrated. I'll just say that. And what that means is we know exactly where the units are, and when a call goes out, we know exactly what the closest unit is, so we can punch that out. It saves time. It's a long time coming, but we can do it. Expand regional interoperability and emergency operations and disaster exercises. We can do a better job of that. We saw it on the 4th of July. We had power outages, and I asked my team, what would have happened if the network went down? And it's something that we all need to be queued up on. There's a lot of threats coming our way. We just had a cyber attack to the center yesterday. We're going to work through those things. We're going to continue to do that, but technology is a massive priority, and it should be moving forward with the technology we have available now. Why does that matter to Metro Fire? We know modern communication systems improve situation awareness, support better decisions and deployments, and strengthen regional response during both everyday incidents and those major emergencies. And finally, my 3rd priority, external engagement. Shocking. Regional partnerships and community outreach. It's near and dear to my heart. We know the strongest emergency responses are built on those relationships, and the center simply isn't just a dispatch center. We're an operational partner, and we're a community resource. So let's look at the communications, unity, and performance, keeping with the topic. Strengthen communications between Metro and the center and all stakeholders. Expand public education and recruitment partnerships. So many people don't know we exist. We have to break those barriers. We have to drop the silos, get people through the doors to want to do that job. It is a challenge to recruit. It's a challenge to keep people. It's a priority. When we keep people, we save money and we get better talent. We get better esprit de corps. We get a better product. Unity, increased collaboration between dispatchers and field personnel, especially on social media and traditional media. One of the things that Mark Nunez did yesterday, we took some of the dispatch audio and put it over a fire video. If you get a chance, check it out. I don't want to add another video to your slides, but check it out. We can see the different levels, the chain of survival in action in that video. We're going to continue to build relationships going into performance, reduce unnecessary EMS responses through regional collaboration, pursue grants and alternative funding. We have to find more funding. We are getting to the point where that building is going to be insufficient. A new dispatch center, you're looking at somewhere between $100 to $200 million. Expand performance reporting. So why does all of those things matter to Metro Fire? The better we work together before the emergency, the better we perform when the 911 call comes in. When those tones go off, That's where it counts. Finally, I'd like to leave you with this one final thought. The communication center is often called the first responder, and I believe we're also the constant. We're there before the first apparatus is dispatched. We're there while the incident unfolds, and we're there until the last unit clears. Every priority I've shared tonight is intended to strengthen one thing, and that's our ability to support Metro Fire. When we invest in our people, prepare for the future, and strengthen our relationship, Metro Fire benefits. And when Metro Fire is stronger, the communities we all serve are safer. Thank you, and I'll answer any questions you have.
Right, any questions? No questions. Thank you.
Now for the quickest part, and if I'm not invited back for a presentation in the future, I know why.
I am taking notes.
But this is pretty important too, because there's been a lot of operational activity over the last week, and I want to share that with you, starting with A Shift. We will be brief.
We'll be really brief. I'll just go over the 4th because that was a topic of last week, obviously. The 4th is typically the most volume of fires and the most chaos. Most folks the younger folks like to work it. The older guys do not. But last year we had tablet command fail. Last year we had a lot of chaos. We had units going cross county during the entire year. 2026, ironically slow. I pondered it, looked at some numbers, did some digging. I think 2 causations are reinforcement of CRD, the weed abatement piece. There's been some NERS reporting and things like that that get triggered faster. And the other piece I could contemplate is the drones. We had neighborhood watches at firehouses with code enforcement. We had our own UAVs up there. And there had to be probably 4 or 5 just within our geographical area at Metro. And they can cover pretty wide swath. So really good news for the fire prevention side. No fatalities, a couple of grass fires up 2-3 acres, but no injuries, no damage to property. And that's kind of unheard of. So that's all I have for the update.
Thank you, Chief Carollo. For B Shift, on the 7th, up in Antelope, we had a single engine response to an unknown fire type. When they were en route, it was upgraded to a structure fire after multiple 911 calls. Just before the crews arrived, there was a tree crew working across the street, noticed the fire, and they did the right thing. They accessed the primary dwelling. They actually forced entry, got into the house and found a subject and helped remove them before the house was overcome by fire. When the first engine arrived, had heavy fire conditions between 2 two-story homes, wood frame, wood exterior with a house in between, flowing gas line, multiple accessory structures in the back, awning, and so forth. So a lot of fire. A second alarm was called. It was a very significant firefight for residential. It's not something that we typically see, but there was a lot of BTUs that they were dealing with. Kind of a pigeonhole location, kind of difficult access to get resources in. And then we had a third structure that became exposed and a third alarm was called. Again, pretty rare conditions, took about 50 minutes to bring the fire under control. The third alarm was not utilized, but it definitely used every bit of the first and second alarm. And fortunately, I can report that there were no injuries to civilians or firefighters, and the cause is not yet known. C Shift.
All right, I'm gonna touch on a couple incidents that happened on July 3rd. The first was on Recycle Road here in Rancho Cordova at the auto dismantler. We started off with a vehicle fire, other level 1, which is you get an engine and a truck responding, and that quickly expanded to close to 100 personnel on this fire. It took roughly an hour and a half to control all these vehicles on fire. It was probably in the neighborhood of 300 plus cars that were on fire. And we ended up calling in some assistance from our friends at CAL FIRE because it started a grass fire behind the auto dismantler. And they sent a quick phone call to them and they sent a hand crew out to help mop it up or to cut a line around it, and it got our crews out of there a lot quicker. So the other one was just before that, we had a water rescue and we had rescue swimmers coming. We got engines, we got trucks, we have boats responding to this call. And the crew that made the save, our crew, Engine 54, made it shore-based. They had their gear that Chief Barthel got them years ago from the water rescue team. They threw it on, they grabbed some ropes, they walked out as far as they could, and they saved 2 people's lives on July 3rd. That's all there is to it. So if they weren't there, if we waited for the boat, helicopter, any of those other things, one of those people for sure would have died that day, and the other one seriously injured. So many other incidents, but yeah, those are 2 that I wanted to highlight for Sea-Shift. Thank you.
All right, I bet you thought this time would never come. So that concludes the operations presentation this evening. I don't even know if I can say it with true authenticity, but the honor and the privilege that I have to serve in this position alongside these individuals, it's been the highlight of my career. They're absolutely knocking it out of the park. Why? Because they care, they're driven, and they want better for each and every one of you and this organization. And that amount of power it's just not stoppable. The most difficult thing I have to do here is tell them to slow down a little bit, because we want to execute as many things as we can. And so you had one deep dive into one focus area tonight, and that took probably 45 minutes. So you could only imagine the amount of work that's being done on the other 34. So that concludes the presentation. Happy to answer any outstanding questions you might have.
Any further questions from the board? No. Chief, I'll just say to you and the team, fantastic report. I know that's what I've been looking for. What are we doing? Because I think we do so much that we're not hearing about, right? And it's because you guys do the work, move on, do the work, move on. You're also studying opportunities, and you're leaning in, and you're finding the right leadership to do that. And so I think it came out in this presentation. You guys have covered a lot of topics and really highlighted the great work of operations. So thank you.
Thank you, President Costa.
I do have one question now.
Shoot.
So we've talked a lot about communication, which I think is a big theme. So what are you seeing as opportunities in the communication side?
Well, we're flexing every tool we have in the toolbox to communicate better. And again, we're learning through that process, right? As one of the chiefs mentioned, too much can be a problem and too little is a problem. And a part of our strategic plan is looking at new tools to communicate. So I'm encouraged by the output of that strategic plan, so we can take some new things and inject them into the operational system so we can continue to better communicate. The reason why initially I started, these were 3 priorities of communication, unity, and performance. We changed them to pillars because they're not going to go away. We have to continue to look at that. So there's always going to be a better way of doing it. So, and that's what I would be my ask of you as board of directors. I appreciate the support. If there's something that you can add value to our operations with respect to those 3 pillars, please let us know. We're more than willing to try. We're trying new things each and every day. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And that was going to be my follow-up question.
What can we do for you?
Yeah, what do you need? What kind of support can the board give? But you kind of covered a little bit of that. But is there anything else you want to add, Chief?
That was it. Thank you.
Fantastic report. Thank you. Well, Chief House, you have to follow that. The fire chief's report. Chief House.
You're going to skip President's report?
Yeah,
but I'd be
there's
glad to go first.
No President's report, so we'll go to the Chief.
Chief Wagaman and all the operations, thank you for what I would also echo is a fantastic report. And it's humbling. Also in my position, I'm grateful to lead all the men and women at this fantastic organization everywhere. We see that everywhere. Operations, our professional staff everywhere. This profession takes a toll on us. So I'm going to ask for a moment of silence at the end of tonight. And it's with extreme sadness that I have to announce the passing of retired Fire Investigator 2, Steve Johnson. After a courageous battle with cancer, Steve passed away on July 7th, 2026. Steve dedicated 19 years to the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District before retiring February 14th, 2025. Service information is pending, and we'll get that to you as soon as we know that. Our hearts and prayers go out to the Johnson family. That's been a difficult role, I can tell you, for the last 3.5 years as the fire chief here. For me, it seems like I've had to do that more times than I ever expected or cared to. It's a representation of what the fire service commitment and the dangers and the sacrifices our men and women put out to protect our community. I like to leave on a positive note with that. And that's going to end my report because I want to highlight what I just stated. But I also understand that we have a director that is celebrating a birthday. So I wanted to acknowledge and say happy birthday to Director Gould.
18.
So
It's a lot.
that's going to end my report, but I do ask for a moment of silence, and I'll take any questions you have.
Chief, any questions? All right. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. So I know we have no operations report. We just received a great presentation and no administrative report. So we'll move to support and emergency medical services report. Chief Mitchell.
Chief House, colleagues, members of the public. As I begin my branch report here, Chief Farika is assisting me, thanks, Chief, with a document that I'll be referencing during my presentation. This document is our environmental scan, or what we're referring to as our radar report. I'll give everyone just a moment to receive a copy before I explain what it is and how we intend to use it. Thanks again, Chief Farika. So what you're receiving tonight is not simply another report. It's the beginning of what we hope will become one of the executive team's regular governance communication tools. Our intent is to provide early visibility into emerging issues so the board has greater situational awareness before issues reach the agenda for policy decisions or action. Before walking through the report itself, I'd like to briefly explain why we've developed it and how it connects to the communications and engagement strategy that was presented to the executive committee earlier this evening. Earlier this year, the Board Executive Committee directed staff to improve communications in 4 priority areas, including strengthening communication between the executive team and the board. As we worked through those 4 projects, we realized that improving communication wasn't simply about creating new reports. It required a consistent, robust organizational framework that ensures the right information reaches the right audience at the right time. One of the 3 work streams within the framework that was discussed earlier with the executive committee is the emerging trends, which helps identify opportunities, risks, and external influences before they become operational, financial, or policy challenges. Some of you may remember that we introduced an emerging issues briefing back in April, but based on what we learned, we've refined both the format and the purpose of the report. This environmental scan is intended to simplify the information. Last one was pretty robust and lengthy. Highlight the most significant issues and make it easier to quickly understand what's developing across the organization. This is intended to be a living document that will continue to evolve as we receive your feedback and continue implementing both the communications and engagement strategy and the board's strategic plan. In fact, version 3 is already underway. So you're seeing a version that will be sunsetting soon for the next version. So the intent isn't for you to read every word in this report tonight while I'm talking to you. Think of this as a dashboard rather than a traditional staff report. The report groups issues by organizational impact. There's 8 different ones, but a few of them are the ones in the report tonight: financial implications, operational impact, strategic alignment, interagency and political dynamics, and legal and regulatory exposure. Each issue in the report identifies the executive sponsor, the date it was identified, and a concise summary describing why it matters to you. Now, not every issue on this report will become a board agenda item. Some will be resolved administratively, some may remain on the report as work progresses, and others may eventually return to the board for policy decisions or board action. The purpose is to provide early visibility into what is developing across our organization for you all. You see a few of the examples in there: the hazmat fee study, our airport rescue firefighting apparatus at McClellan, the PPG EMT update, and the mobile integrated health partnerships. And these are examples that illustrate the range of financial, operational, strategic, and policy issues the district leadership is monitoring on the board's behalf. So as we move forward, you'll continue to see this report refined. Our goal is to develop a concise, forward-looking governance communication tool that supports informed decision-making and reduces surprises to you all. We view tonight's report as another step in that continuous improvement process. As I mentioned, this is version 2. Version 3 is already underway, and we want to hear your feedback as it evolves to make sure it's addressing the issues that we've heard from you all that need to be better communicated earlier in one of those 4 areas. Before I conclude this section of the report, I would briefly like to outline 3 options for you now as the directors and how you can follow up on any of those topics, let you know how to re-interact as you see fit. The first option is to request, if you see an item on there, you can request through the chair a future board presentation if a topic warrants a deeper discussion by the board from your all perspective. A second option for you is to request a board-wide response if your question would benefit all the directors. Staff will research the answer and provide it to the full board when we have the answer together. And the third option would be to contact the appropriate staff member that's listed in the report as the sponsor directly if your question is solely administrative, factual, or intended only for your own understanding. So it does not require full board awareness. Those are 3 different ways that you can interact with this report and let us know or get more information back. I'd also like to encourage you to spend a few minutes reviewing the report after tonight's meeting, and recognize as the tool evolves, your feedback on both the format and the content will help us make it increasingly valuable to you. Using these pathways helps ensure the right information is communicated through the right channel while supporting transparent and effective governance. That concludes this section of my report. I have one other item, but I want to pause there to see if you have any questions.
Director.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. What's the plan for how this gets distributed going forward?
We would love to hear feedback on how you'd like to see that, but right now it could be communication from the board clerk sent out to you all as board members as the dashboard. But if you have a preference for a different way, then we're interested in how you all would like to receive that. It's a month. The intent is to be a monthly report right now. And then I will say a couple of the enhancements in version 3. I got some items that are in version 3 about status and where they're at, if they're intending to become board action, to give you some flavor of what actually is growing, what's being handled. And and then what your role as a board, is it informative only? Is it for discussion or future action, things like that? So knowing that's coming, please provide feedback from your perspectives on how you like to do that.
My 2 cents at this time, just to save paper and the cost of color print, that we get this electronically.
That would be our preference as well. So I appreciate that.
And I'd just say, Director Wood, at this point through the clerk until we build that dashboard, is that the suggestion? I just want to make sure we capture that piece.
That's just my 2 cents,
Yeah.
but I'm 1 and 9.
Okay.
Just trying to save us money on coloring.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything we do is in color and it gets expensive.
I think Director Jones, you had a question?
Yes. Oh, actually, it's just a shout out. Thank you, Chief Mitchell. This is a really deep, it's a deep analysis of a lot of very, very important issues. And just from the 2.5, 3-page, we can see the expansiveness and the diversity of these topics. And as a director, I very, very much appreciate this as I hate the word dashboard, but that's kind of what it is. And I appreciate the overview. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Jones. Director Gould?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just Chief, I'd really love to see this as an electronic dashboard where we could log in and get access to it when it fits into our busy schedules. That way it's, and also separate from our board packets, because those can get overwhelming and the details can get lost. So I'd love to be able to come look at this on the fly as it's updated. The person's responsible can update it as they need, and we'll get an announcement that it's been updated. We can pierce in there. Plus the three ways that you mentioned earlier, I'd love to see those described someplace wherever this resides, because it'll help remind us how we can go about if we need to chat with the board president, whatever the case may be. Because I'd love to also, not overwhelm staff with directors' requests. You know, that's the job of the president to kind of track that. And that'd be, I think, be most effective.
I think that's music to some ears. I appreciate that. And I understand the interaction and the real time. That's the world we live in. And so that's a great idea. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Director. Yes, Director Stark.
I think this is great. This is a lot of good information. I'd like to see us add station development. You know, all of the new stations and the hurdles that we're jumping through. Just add that to this so that we can track that as well.
Great.
Any other questions on this item? So I'll just say before we move on to the next one, this is fantastic. I think not only is it give us the right information and give us visibility, it helps, I think, you manage time and resources, right? But also gives us the ability to have some ownership in what we're trying to accomplish here. So this is fantastic.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. And I think it's important because the 3 executive committee members earlier tonight heard about our strategic plan, our communications engagement strategy, and an example of what right looks like when we do this correctly to engage there. And so, you know, this is one of the 3 components of emerging trends, critical issues, and transparency and trust with the public that we'll get way more into down the road. I'm presenting this tonight, and there's been a lot of work that other folks have done. So recognizing that it's a true team effort. Again, we talked about it executive committee. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the other team members. Carmen Delgado was and is still working in here. Jeff Fry, Aaron Casplay. You'll hear a lot of those names of the folks that are working through these things and bringing them forward. But ultimately, that, you know, we heard tonight the board will see the strategic plan. One of the goals of communication and the tactics we're implementing. This is one of those that we're already taking action on, knowing we're a little bit in front of the board, but time is of the essence. And so we appreciate the feedback and the support and great work by everybody that I mentioned and others I probably forgot. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, now one more, some good news. I'm happy to come before you tonight to announce a couple of promotions. I'd like to say congratulations to 2 of our members in CRRD that were recently promoted from Fire Inspector 1 to Fire Inspector 2, effective back on June 23rd. Congratulations go out to Fire Inspector 2 Flor Oliveras and Fire Inspector 2 Mason Wheeler. So congratulations to the 2 of them. I know Chief Nygren is sitting in the audience. I asked if she wanted to announce them, but she politely declined and said I'd already have the microphone. So congrats to those 2 fire inspectors too. We're proud of them, and I know they'll do great things. That ends my report.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Any questions? All right. Thank you. And that takes us to Firefighters Local 522 report. Vice President Scholar.
Good evening, President Costa, board members, Chief House, colleagues, members of the public. Sean Scollard, Vice President, Local 522. I planned on having a short report tonight, but based on everything else, my report grew. It's always candid, and I'm sure there's things that always get added to it. So we'll start off first with some acknowledgements. Happy birthday, Director Gould. I'm sure somebody will start a happy birthday here soon, and everybody will sing in the board. Somebody at some point will do that, I'm sure. Also, thank you to the chief officers that highlighted a lot of the tremendous work that not only our members here at Metro Fire do, but our members at the dispatch center and also our regional partners with CAL FIRE. Thank you to Chief Richards. I don't know if he's still here or not. They probably took off. So I don't blame him in that. He's become a very familiar face up in El Dorado County for me. I'm a resident in El Dorado County. I get to see him quite a bit, and I've done some collaborative work through our labor relationships up in El Dorado County, and we've crossed paths. And it's really great to see the collaboration, not only on the labor side, but on the management side as well. And I think CAL FIRE coming here and representing that is a testament to the great work that can get accomplished when agencies such as ours work together and get things accomplished. Our partnership, as you've heard me say multiple times, our partnership with 2881 is extremely strong. But our partnership with CAL FIRE is also extremely strong. So it's great to see that both labor and management are focusing efforts on a strong relationship with our partners. I think CAL FIRE puts themselves in every room possible. They do their best to collaborate with every agency, and it betters us, and working together, we also better them. So it's great to see those things take place. Dispatch center. It got said multiple times. Super busy time for the dispatchers. I'm very proud to have dispatchers back in 522 and be represented by us. And we have some great members that work out there with their vice president, Greg Fonts, who's a captain with West Sacramento as their vice president, and the shift reps out there in the dispatch center. I love seeing them get highlighted and the strong work that they do. So thank you, Chief Wilborn, I don't know if he's here, for highlighting those members and the work that they do. It is a very busy time, and I do think that sometimes their work is forgotten about, that they are the ones taking those critical calls and having to navigate through processes in people's worst times. So thank you to all our members out of the dispatch center. To the Metro Fire members, a lot of highlights given this evening as far as training burns, call volume, everything that they're doing. But I want to take this opportunity to just thank our membership out there for all the work that they do. I mean, we've heard the grind time and time again. It never really slows down. It never really ends. And we love that part of the job. We love staying busy. Our members do it. They're excited to do it. And they take on, the training, even though it goes maybe a little bit later than anticipated sometimes with them. And then they got to get right back into it and run the calls that are going to come. And it's been super busy for them. Very dynamic staffing right now. A lot of challenges and stuff. And obviously, being out of contract doesn't necessarily help. It creates a lot of phone calls. I know my phone's ringing off the hook. I know a lot of the chief officers' phones in here are ringing off the hook, especially in this time of busy call volume. As I spoke with President Costa, we're at this cyclical moment right now where holiday season, summertime vacations, engineer promotions, you couple all those things together, and we're at this peak of a cyclical moment where the staffing is a challenge. It would have been a challenge regardless, but you add all those factors into it, it becomes even more burdensome on our membership. So I appreciate the efforts that they're putting in to keeping things staffed in this organization, keeping a positive attitude out there, despite the challenges and stuff that we're going through. So with that, I did get reached out to by President Jameson from Local 522. He does have a statement that he wanted me to read, and it's in regards to contract negotiations. We knew this day was coming. We planned for it. We have prepared, taking a big picture look at Metro Fire. It has already been 18 months since our last wage increase. We are not trying to cause financial issues for the district. We have designed something that addresses the near term, but protects the district and our community if revenues are not there. We should be trusted. You trusted us to go to the state and lobby for the training center. You trusted us to go to the community and advocate for Measure O. You trusted us to advocate for MIH funding. Why do you think we would do something to jeopardize the future when we have always looked to future needs of Metro Fire? Our track record of working to improve Metro Fire and take care of the community speaks for itself. I couldn't agree more with the statement that he provided and asked me to read this evening. I think our efforts do speak for themselves. I'm happy to continue working through things. Before you ask Director Costa, what could the board do? I think one thing that the board could do, because the membership voted me to be the representation for them, but the board didn't vote me to be the spokesperson for all of you, is you use the opportunity on the dais to maybe readdress what the board priorities are so the membership can hear it from you. We heard for a long time that the board priorities were alleviating brownouts, alleviating mandatories, and a hyper focus on some work-life balance, which I don't love the term work. Chief House and I would agree probably on that work-life balance piece. I think there's another term for it. I think the fire service in general, the term is non-existent. But with that being said, if you could, and not this evening, but just think about it, is if those are still priorities of the board, if you could address the membership, given an opportunity to let them know if those are still the priorities of the board or if they're the top priorities of the board, so that they can have some guidance on what the board's priorities are. Because I'm getting asked, and I don't feel it's my responsibility to speak on your behalfs. I need to do a better job about making sure I get the membership here so that you can speak to them, so you have the opportunity to speak to them. But that would help. That would be a great help. With that, I'll take any questions. I would also echo Chief House's sentiment to the Johnson family and their loss. And I know that he's asked for a moment of silence, but blessings go out to their family as well.
Thank you, Sean. Any questions from the board? All right. Thank you. All right, that we go to committee and delegate reports. So the executive committee, bear with me as I try to recap what we discussed. Staff brought forward the strategic plan. So they've taken the framework that we've been working on for the last 6 months. They put a lot into that plan. It's a very extensive plan. However, that plan still has opportunities in there. So there are goals identified with no tactics, and that's by design, because they'll be bringing that back to the board for your input. So what staff wanted to make sure, are we on track? Are we meeting the intent of the board? Is the strategic plan still the vision that we have? Are those still the right goals? And then they'll start building the tactics associated with that. So I thought, and I'll ask the other committee members to speak, but the executive or the strategy that staff has come forward, it's comprehensive. It meets exactly what we've been talking about, and it's really building that plan that we've been looking for. A key component to this is less about how to engage the board, more about how to get the board's ownership in that plan. So think about how we can do that. And I think we've seen some of that presented to us tonight. And then by design, it brought forward the communication plan. So one of those goals that we've talked a lot about, and I think we heard a lot in a lot of the different reports today around communication. It's taken that broad communication plan, very extensive plan that takes into consideration everything that this organization does internally and externally, and it's identified opportunities like realigning. And so we started implementing some of that to ensure we are realigned, to make sure the board and the district and the community understands what we're doing. And that plan comes back to a couple things that we will see come back to the board. And so something for us to think about when it comes back next meeting. What's that shared ownership? Right. So what is our role? Who plays a part in that conversation? Resources, because like any great plan, right, it hinders on the resources that we align with, the vision we have, the budget we assign, right, essentially will help implement that. And its key part here is board ownership, because we need to be aligned with staff as far as workload and making sure they have the right resources to meet the vision that we lay out. And then ultimately priorities. And I think we heard a little bit here about, communicating those priorities more broadly to this organization so they know the vision of this board. They know that we are engaged and we have ownership associated with that. So one of the questions asked during that time was, how do we determine that responsibility? How are we held responsible as a board? And so some of the tactics you'll see in that plan are key performance indicators. So a dashboard associated with the goals, with the tactics. Who owns that? The time associated with that. So what's the timeline? And then who's responsible? And then where does the board fit in? So I think it was a fantastic strategic plan that really brought into the communication component, like how are we doing this? And then it brought forward kind of the emerging trends. So Chief Mitchell talked about this dashboard and refining this dashboard to make sure this board's aware of what's happening here, make sure the board's aware in case you get, you communicate or connect with the community. And so they had a real project come forward, and you heard a little bit earlier today about this large project happening in the city of Rancho Cordova. And what staff has done is analyze that project, working with the city and the developer to determine, like, this is different than what we planned for. This is happening immediately compared to what our overall plan looks like. So how do we meet that project where it is? What do we need? What are the gaps associated with that? So staff did a fantastic job identifying, what's that gap and how do we fill that gap so we meet the need of the city? More importantly, that we are partners with the city, right? And part of the emerging trends is to keep this board aware so we can, again, engage our partners, in this case, the city of Rancho Cordova. And so we anticipate within the next few weeks, it goes back to the board or to the council will act, and then it'll come back to us. And so staff will be continuing to engage on that project. And they will keep us updated as far as the next steps. I think what is important here is what they did was they took the broader strategic plan. They've focused in on a goal to kind of align with, okay, where are these gaps, where are these opportunities, and then how does it apply on these emerging issues? So if you guys have a chance to look at the report, I would encourage you to do that. Again, what this is trying to do is make sure we give the right level of information to the board at the right time, and then we ask the board when to engage, and then that ownership there. And before I close, I'll just say one thing that I think is very important is working with staff to identify the board's role. Our role is broader than just the budget and the fiscal side of this organization. And this plan builds that ownership, and it identifies where we should be leaning in to support this team. So I want to say they did a great job today bringing that stuff forward. The executive committee moved it, so we'll be coming to the board for your review and input at the next, I believe, next meeting, maybe meeting after that, but very soon. Any questions? All right. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to, so Communication Center JPA, no report. Finance and Audit Committee, Director Jones.
Thank you. Finance and Audit Committee meeting is scheduled for August 27th, 5:30 in these chambers. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Policy Committee, Director Clark.
Chairman, Policy Committee met today at 5:30. We had one presentation item regarding administration policy, specifically investigations policy. And our next meeting will be August 13th of this year, 2026.
All right. Thank you, Director. And with that, we'll move to board member questions and comments. Director Sailors. Thank you. Director Gould.
No comment.
All right. Director Wood.
No comment.
Director Jones.
I want to thank everyone for their reports, very in-depth, and I appreciate the tremendous amount of work that's gone into that. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Clark.
No comment.
All right. Director Stark. All right. Director Rice.
Thank you. To the chair, I think it's probably better directed towards our general counsel. Do we use Robert's Rules of Order or Atwood's for our conduct of business from this dais and through our committees? And if we don't, then I would like to make a suggestion for the next executive committee that we as an executive committee discuss that and formulate a plan to bring a recommendation towards to the board. I've served on a number of boards, 4 to be precise, for a number of years. Every one of them used Atwoods, but we switched and adopted Roberts. I think it's very important on how we do business from the dais. I couldn't find anything. Council Lavra, if it's already there, then we can have a discussion around that offline.
Yeah. My answer to the question is I'm not remembering exactly from the board policies and procedures, but my general recollection is that is not written in as part of your procedures for handling any of your business. And so if that's something that the board wanted to formally put in place so that the board would know how to act and when to act and what procedure to follow, I would recommend amending the board policies and procedures to so state that. Right now, I do not believe it's contained.
If it pleases the chair, okay, through the chair, I'll bring that through the executive committee, and then obviously it would go to policy and the other appropriate places. And then I really think for me, we all on this dais, we all bring something different in our life's experiences and what we do. It's pretty obvious what I've done for my whole life. I'm a labor guy, period. And it's easy to find shortcomings. It's easy to find things to get angry over. And what I wanted to discuss or convey to the board was very different. And Jeff Fry helped me to recognize there's a better way to communicate what I want to communicate. And yes, I am not happy that we're at an expired contract, that negotiations failed to achieve a contract on the expiration. And to not get on a soapbox and find opportunity with it, I thought about a dear friend and a colleague who lives in Division 7, Matt Powers. He's the Deputy Chief of Police of Operations with Sacramento Police Department. And years ago, he told me, he goes, Brian, this, in his case, the city council, but in our case, the board of directors, we have a role. The men and women that serve our communities have a role. And he said, here's what you should expect as an elected official and a community member from your workforce, that you be highly trained, highly motivated, committed to your community, answer the call when it comes in. You, Brian, as a union officer and now here as a board member and a past administrative member here, our job is to make sure that our members are compensated, that we meet the goals and deadlines. When our contracts expire, that should be for this is a problem. It bothers me. Our men and women, I sat and listened to it tonight. I watch it on social media. I watch highly trained, highly motivated, sacrificing. I'm not big on the term either, and I kind of forgot it, but you commit to this job, and you don't commit to a job, you commit to a lifestyle. And I know that those things are changing, but we here have an obligation. And we had an obligation to meet come July 1, and we didn't meet it. And one of the reasons, and here's the opportunity part, and Jeff, I want to talk to you about this offline. I don't know of any governmental organization in the state of California, whether a district, a city, or a county, that prepares their budget with not just the knowledge, but in preparation for a contract expiration. And I own this. We did an extension for a year and 8 months. We did a contract. We knew this day was coming. We didn't prepare for it. We didn't ask the fire chief, not ask. We didn't order the fire chief or the staff, put aside some funds so that we have funds to fund this contract to properly reward the men and women that work here, not just with a cost of living, but I think that we're at a point where there's an adjustment for our economy right now. And it's not above and beyond to be asking for that consideration. So Jeff, that was what I wanted to talk to you offline about. This shouldn't have come as a surprise. It shouldn't have. And the other one, I'm just going to say it, and I don't mean any disrespect anywhere. I don't think our $15 million reserve goal is sustainable. 15%. I think we need to make an adjustment on that. If we can't properly compensate the men and women that provide this service in a timely manner, we have a priority problem. And it's hard for me to sing the praises here, knowing that I'm part of this failure that didn't help deliver adequate pay and benefits when a contract expired. That bothers me. And if you're sitting here, or if you're on the bargaining chief, I know it bothers you. It should bother all of us. And the opportunity, we need to plan for this. We should never come to this position ever again. And two, I think this board needs to do a reconsideration of our reserve status. We're not a giant savings account. And I was asked, what if we give a pay raise and something happens? Well, what if you get a call and the fire engine gets a flat? What do? You make it work. And that's bothering me. It's going to bother me until we have this done. It's a failure on our part, and I'm willing to say it. And the men and women that do the job on behalf of our community, deserve better than to see an expired contract. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Rice. Director Weber?
No, sir. I'm contained. Thank you.
So to echo Director Rice, I do think we have an obligation and ownership here, so thank you for highlighting that. We've got a lot of priorities to consider, and so I look forward to those conversations as a board. I will say there is a lot of great work happening, so I think one of the difficult parts is, I think you're right, we've run into this, we're out of contract. There's still a lot of great things happening. We need to make sure we're supporting and trying to lean in. But thank you for speaking up and driving home that very important message. And just to the work that was done today and what we've heard, I mean, the board has asked for a lot, and I think staff has met that. And you're asking a lot from this board, and we need to meet that. So thank you. Thank you, Chief, for your leadership, and thank you, board. And with that, before we go to closed session, we'd like to take a moment of silence for Steve Johnson. All right, we come back from closed session. General Counsel.
Thank you, President Costa. The board, this is a report out from the closed session. The board met in closed session with item number 1, conference with labor negotiator for the designated employee organization set forth in the agenda. No reportable action was taken. The board also met on item number 2, public employee performance evaluation for the fire chief. No reportable action was taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. And with that, our next meeting is scheduled for July 23rd. Meeting adjourned.